We were.
What? Now?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dev Day 26. How are we feeling out there today, everybody? I love it. I'm Ryan Green, Snowflake's news anchor and host of their thought leadership platform, Data Cloud Now, and it is an honor to have you all with us today. Danica, it doesn't get any better than
It
this.
does not. Hey, everyone. I'm Danica Fine. I lead open source developer relations here at Snowflake. And honestly, I love coming to Dev Day because, look at all of you. Look at this crowd, Ryan. This is incredible. It's going to be a pretty good Dev Day.
We're fired up. And last year, we stood on this stage and discussed the potential AI would have. And now we are in a world where everyone is supercharging outcomes. The curious are truly leading the way, and that is what today is all about.
It
Danica.
is, absolutely, Ryan. And as some of you may know, this is only our third ever Dev Day. It feels like we've been doing this for a long time.
Look at this crowd.
But every year, we are more and more impressed by the enthusiasm that you all bring to today. And we are thrilled to bring you all together again today for another full day of programming to help you stay ahead of the curve on all things data and AI.
You know, very well said. And that's what makes Dev Day so special. Because at the end of the day, we're very much all in it together. It's about hearing from leaders, dreamers, very much tacticians to get inspired to build the next great thing. And Danica, I have to say, I think the team has outdone themselves because our lineup today is nothing short of stacked.
It is stacked. I don't know how they managed to pull this off year over year, but have you seen the agenda? It's incredible. We have so many great sessions prepared for you today. Luminaries, executives who are honestly, they're pushing the boundaries and they're rewriting what is possible.
You know, Danica, I did this last year, but I want to do it again. I want to do a quick poll, quick question for the audience in the room. For whom is this their first summit event? Show of hands.
That's pretty good.
That's what
Welcome.
it's about. It's about coming together for this next chapter of learning, and it's wonderful to see so many familiar faces. Danica, I have to ask, what are you most excited about?
I mean, I'm always going to be starstruck by the speakers. I'm going to keep calling it out. Look at the agenda. Look at the great job we did putting this together. But seriously, these speakers, their visions are truly shaping the road ahead for AI, and they represent some of the biggest companies in tech right now. So I am confident that we are going to get practical advice. We're all going to learn something to take with us from each and every one of them today. What about you, Ryan?
You know, personally, I am fired up for the Snowflake Challenge Grand Finale. Our contestants are here. Our three finalists are here. They'll battle it out, let's say, for $1 million in investment. And additionally, I'm really excited to listen to our Chief People's Officer panel and AMA on career growth in the age of AI. And quick shout out, that session is at 1 p.m. So if you get lunch, make sure you're here on time. It's a great panel. Really looking forward to it.
Don't miss out. Stay on top of that agenda, all right? There's a lot to look forward to today. And so as we all settle in for the program, remember, today is a day of, full day of technical insights. It's career advice, upskilling, and it's a way for all of you to get together and network, and also for our luminaries to really just give back to you all as a community. And personally, I'm in open source, so I think the idea of tech being out in the open for everyone, benefiting all developers here, that's a huge part of why we are doing this here today.
Absolutely. Now, Danica, the time come?
I think so.
Moscone, are you ready? All right. Let's set all systems go because Dev Day starts right now.
Hello, builders. Welcome to Dev Day. Get ready for Luminary Talks, Community Building, AI Pop-Up, Open Source Experiences, Interactive Fun Zones, Demos, whether you're a builder now or aspire to be one. This is the event for you. Don't wait for the future. Build it. Dev Day starts now.
Please welcome Snowflake CEO, Sridhar Ramaswamy.
Wow, this is quite the crowd, standing room only. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Dev Day. Yeah, this amazing turnout of builders. And I want to set the tone up front. Today is all about you. As many of you know, I'm a developer at heart. And AI has made it more possible for for me to try each and every aspect of what Snowflake does, but also to build with it than I ever have been able to do before. And I love that feeling of being able to create something from nothing. It's just an idea, it's you. And at Snowflake, we want to give you a platform to build, to experiment, to deploy with ease. And this is one of the most exciting times for building, because all of the gnarly little detail that got in the way of getting anything done, that ungodly config file into which you needed to put in magic incantations, you have these amazing things, the coding agents that help you with some of that. So this is an incredibly exciting time to be building. And what we are able to build now, the progress has been extraordinary. There's been advances in reasoning. Now long horizon agents capable of executing complex tasks. And maybe what's most important for this audience, the rise of coding agents and harnesses that are changing how software gets built, but more importantly, how work gets done. And at Snowflake, we are embracing the shift across all of our divisions, especially our engineering organizations. Our teams are using agentic tools like Coco to accelerate development, rethink workflows, and we're seeing our customers do the same. And that's a huge part of what today is about. We are joined today by a number of luminaries that are at the forefront of where AI is going, how software development is changing, and what it means to be building in this AI-first world. I can't think of a better way to kick off things than to start with Peter Steinberger. The explosive growth of OpenClaw is more than a trend. I have a son who's a software engineer, and pretty much 2 days after it had come out, he had deployed OpenClaw on this tiny AWS free container that he got. And he was showing me all the things that we could be doing. And OpenClaw is a glimpse of a future where software is fluid, where agents can learn, generate, modify, orchestrate dynamically. And Peter has been right at the center of that shift. And I'm super excited to dig into what he's learning as this space is moving at lightning speed. Please join me in welcoming the Claw Father, Peter Steinberger. Peter. Welcome. There's a lot of people. It's pretty exciting. Well, you have a storied history in computing and computer science, and OpenClaw is merely the latest thing that you're doing. But I think OpenClaw took off in a way that surprised everyone.
Including me.
Including you. Well, that's the best surprise of all. What do you think it tapped into that was obvious to you, but perhaps not the rest of the industry?
I asked myself that question a few times.
Yeah.
Because to me, it was so obvious that someone will build this, And my main driver, anytime I get annoyed, I come up with a good idea.
Sure.
And that day, November, I went to the kitchen and I was again annoyed because just as I was upstairs, I'm like, I just need to send this little prompt to my computer.
Yep.
Why can't I do that? So I grabbed some food, I went down, and I built it in an hour. I feel anytime we feel this annoyance, use it and fix it. And then that little thing.
And you think all of these grumpy software engineers really get into that mode of just fix all the problems they face?
No, because all these little things compound.
Yeah.
Anytime you notice you're doing something again and again, or you have this pain point. In the past, it was you really had to pick your battles, what to build, because everything took so much time.
Yeah.
But now everything is just like a prompt away. And it doesn't matter if it works out or not, because you can just build it on the side, and then see, and then if it works, you iterate on it. And back then it was called VAR relay, like WhatsApp relay, and for me it was immediately useful. And then I just like kept iterating it, like adding image support, and then like this one little feature and some little feature, and I don't know, 6 months later, no life, it's the fastest growing open source project.
That is, that's truly amazing. Part of what blew my mind when my son first showed it to me was, and he's like, here's a little Telegram bot that you can use to send my OpenClaw instance messages. It'll just respond to you. It was also the fluidity of what was possible, because you could think of a new thing that you wanted to do and just tell it, hey, I want you to help me manage my to-do list.
Yeah.
It just did it. And that was amazing to see. And as you watch people use OpenClaw, develop with it, were there things that surprised you? What are like new behaviors, new workflows that people added that you were like, huh, I never thought of that?
What surprised me the most was how many people sent their first PR ever on the OpenClaw repository. Because for the first few months, the only way to install it was git clone, pnpm build, and then gateway run. And then you had the full source code, and I made the agent very self-aware. I explained to him like the harness, it's been built in, all the parameters, where's the documentation, where's the configuration. So then people, they asked the agent to do something that I didn't build yet, and it would just start modifying itself. And then oftentimes it would just ask, hey, do you want to like send a PR? Because there's enough world knowledge that it knew. So we had a lot of people that were not even coders, that sent a PR. And yes, it was usually slop, but everyone starts somewhere.
Yeah.
And I know the feeling, how I felt when my first PR got merged.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, how you can like eventually create a new front of people that are excited about software again.
How many unique contributors does the repo have?
I think it's now over 2,000.
That's amazing.
I've been very liberal. If
in letting people submit.
there's now this whole argument that like many open source maintainers, they complain that they're like drowning in slop. And I see it more as a prompt request. Like somebody sends an issue or PR, it's the same, it doesn't matter, it's just an indicator that somebody would like something different. And if I like the idea, I credit them. So yes, maybe the number is a little bit inflated, but still, I think it's important to create this community, and that was very hard why it grew so fast.
I actually don't know this. Is there a PR review loop that's also built into OpenClaw so that it looks at the PRs before you see them?
There is now.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, you'll use coding agents. Like the number one unlock I had in the last few weeks was, for example, with Codex, you do /review, and then it would like take 10, 20 minutes. It will like usually find some weird edge cases that are important that will hurt you in production.
Yeah.
And then you say, okay, yeah, fix these. It will run for 10 minutes, and then you're like, is it really done? And you /review again, and it will work for 10, 20 minutes, and it'll find new things.
Yeah.
Because unpredictable of coding agents. And then you type fix again, and then you're like, is it really done? And there was one time where I did this 10 times.
Yeah.
And then I had this feeling again. It's like
/loop?
It's like, no, I typed it manually, but like I had this annoying feeling again. So I built a skill I called auto review.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I thought, oh, I need to build hooks and make it complex. And I'm like, no, just tell the agent to like run the CLI, Codex or Cloud Code or whatever you want to use, to review that code, but in a new session.
Yeah.
And keep on doing that until you don't find anything new. Maybe don't accept everything, because sometimes you need to define the invariants. And then sometimes it would run for like 5 or 10 hours. But my confidence now in the code that I build agentically, I can actually ship, is much higher.
Yeah. I think you're actually hitting on a really important point. It's easy to think about AI or coding agents just in terms of oh, developer productivity, but slightly edgy. Maybe there's more slop. But I think it is masking what I think of as a bigger shift that we are in the middle of, which is that everything you do can be made more productive. You want to call out what you think is like the big impact of coding agents and the ability to iterate on just all of software, all of work?
I think the biggest impact of coding agent is that it is so helpful for people that are not programmers. It started as coding agents,
Yeah.
right? But as we made them really good for writing code, we made them really good for solving problems, because creating code is solving problems, and that generalizes. And now, pretty much any task is better with intelligence. So I think that's the shift that we still need to change. Like, everyone should use agents, not just developers. And that was also the thing that made so many people excited about OpenClaw. Because instead of typing into a terminal, you had a friend on WhatsApp. And you would just tell him, hey, I want this, and it would just create something for you. You didn't even know that it was writing code. You just, someone had like a website that solved your problem. And I think that's the big power that, a part of the big power that agents enable us to do.
Where do you think the line is? This is a topic that, especially in the context of Snowflake being an enterprise company, we end up talking a lot about. If, let's say you're somebody that knows nothing about coding, okay, and that's not a bad thing. There are many, many people that have never learned coding. And if you ask your agent to do something and it requires writing a pretty complex piece of software, how are you even able to judge that it got it right? Like, what's the line for who should do what?
That's the hardest part.
That's the hardest part.
That's the hardest part.
Yeah.
I always think, how can I help my agent to close the loop? You know, I give him the prompt, it starts building software, but it also needs to test the software. But then you should also have a way to like install the software and like verify that the output is correct. To give you an example, let's say in OpenClaw we fix something in the Slack connector.
Yep.
I can verify that to a degree, but at some point the test can only do so much.
That's correct.
So like your question always needs to be, how can I extend the area where the coding agent can test? So I built something. We have to keep up with the crustacean themes. It's called CrabBox.
What is it called?
CrabBox. It's like inferal test boxes.
Yeah.
So the agent gets a new machine, maybe one for Linux, Windows, and macOS, depending on how complex it is.
Yeah.
And can actually install the thing it built.
Yeah.
And then run the thing in a fresh machine, so you don't have it works on my machine.
Yeah.
So again, you extend the verifiability and remove variables where like, yeah, it works here, but it doesn't work there. We'll find new bugs. Then, let's say it's Slack. You probably also want visual verification. So now that agents like Codex have not just browser automation, but also computer vision, it can spin up a Linux thing and then use computer vision inside to actually look at Slack, make a screenshot, and verify that the message I sent in there end-to-end appears in the UI that I didn't build. Right? Again, you close more of the loop.
Yeah.
And that I don't have to do more. It will take more time, but it increases the agent's chance to verify what it built will actually correct.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately, that's our way to the dark factory. That's our way to go from prompt to correctness.
Right. But it also tells you that an agent, knowing its limit, understanding what is a user capable of verifying, becomes a little bit of an issue.
Yes.
Because somebody might not be able to judge that some complex engineering workflow actually worked. But it's a super fascinating topic. Just popping up you've been around. Yeah, as I said, what was your previous biggest success before OpenCloud? You have a celebrated PDF package, right?
I built a PDF framework. Yes.
Yeah.
I wrote code by hand, like like an animal.
Yeah. And all of us probably use it. It ships with every Python distribution, right?
You all pretty much have a version of it on the phone. Yeah. It's used by a lot of the Fortune 500.
Yeah.
If you look at the area of boring and hard, and like easy, boring and interesting and easy and hard, you always want to pick the problem that are boring and hard. Like I would also say, I mean, no offense, but like building something that stores massive amounts of data, to me is like boring and hard, which is the best business to have.
Well, you can create a lot of value because
Yes.
you can, and people get it that this stuff is hard. So you've been through a number of transformations. You've done things that have big impact overall. Frame it for us. If you were to compare this to, let's say, the movement from, call it big box computing to personal computing to internet to mobile, where would you put things like AI and coding assistant in that continuum in terms of just impact on people, impact on software engineering, impact on the industry?
I would put it above mobile. I would put it on top of as big as the internet. We're just starting. We are so early. Like, for example, we now have 5 million Codex users.
Yeah.
How many developers are out there? That's like a tiny, tiny percentage. Like the fact that you sit here, you're already like probably in the top 1% even thinking about this.
Yeah.
And then going to knowledge workers, even less so. So even if we wouldn't create better models in the future,
Yeah.
there's so much that we can still improve and automate. And yes, there's going to be better models are coming. But I think the main limitation right now is just imagination. Like, what else can I use intelligence to automate and make things better so I can focus on the things that matter more and automate the boring tasks away?
Yeah. And I mean, yes, there is curiosity, but I also think there are genuinely a lot of new techniques that lots of people are discovering independently. And at Snowflake, actually, this engineer and I made an XKCD deck talking about here are principles of working with agents. You should think of yourself as a tech lead of agents, not as an individual contributor any longer. We are trying to figure out how do we capture the essential abstractions, which is other things like make sure your coding agent knows about your environment, because if it does not, it's going to do things over and over again the wrong way. I think there is there's a bunch of stuff that will end up spreading more and more broadly across the software engineering ecosystem.
What helped me a lot in terms of working with agents is if you've ever led a team of software engineers, you know that they will not write exactly the code that you want. But you also know if you micromanage them, if you breathe down their neck, you're going to have a very hard time, and they're probably going to quit. Now, coding agents, they probably not quit, but you kind of have to accept that. At least I don't know of that yet.
I love your name for agents, by the way. I think you should share it. I think we should make it like more common, because I actually think that'll help people think through what they're working with.
We were talking in the green room, and I just said, like, my clankers.
He's like, my clankers are cranking. I'm like, huh, what?
There is a discussion right now where some people say it's a slur, but I would say it's wrong to humanize agents, because in the end, they are very interesting and smart matrix calculations, and they are very intelligent in some parts and like very silly in other parts, what we call spiky intelligence. Kind of like the Star Wars clankers. And ultimately, it is a very amazing tool everyone should use, but it's not a person, Like, it's a very amazing hammer, and it will take some time to understand how to hold the hammer and where its weaknesses are and where its strengths are. And they're getting better over time.
Yeah.
But they're still clankers.
I love that name because it also illustrates another important point, which the point about spiky intelligence.
Yes.
It means that when you think about how do you make full advantage of an agentic platform, you need to think, I'm going to have somebody write code, but I also need someone that is security minded, that is going to look at all the security aspects of this code, and maybe someone else is all about correctness.
Yes.
And maybe someone brings a long-term perspective of if this code were to be running for days and days and days, are there problems like memory leaks, other kinds of issues? It really illustrates the idea that you need to bring different perspectives in order to solve a particular problem.
It's almost like a skill like any other. Like even when I prompt, I type something into Codex, and I kind of already have the feeling I know, because I have a system understanding, right? Maybe I don't read all of the code, but I know how my system works.
Yeah.
And then if the prompt takes too long, like my spider sensors go off. It's like, okay, something's wrong. Either I made a mistake in my prompt, my architecture is bad.
Yeah.
If suddenly I see like 10 files edited for a feature that should affect 3 files, you know you're gonna have to dig deeper. And you can always ask the agent, hey, what was so hard? And basically we tell you, well, this, and this is bad architecture, and then like, okay, let's fix it.
That's cool. Well, OpenClaw, as I said, is being used everywhere. Lots of people run them on their machines. But take us forward into the world of autonomous agents and what things begin to get fully automated. Broadly, what are guardrails that we should put on how they work? How do you see this world evolving?
The beauty of OpenClaw is you could almost see it like as a whole bunch of glue on top of a coding agent.
Yeah.
So it has all the same benefits and problems of a coding agent. If you run your coding agent in YOLO mode, it's very convenient. It might not be very good for companies. So like a better mode would be use LLM as a judge. OpenAI, we call it Guardian.
We were talking about it.
Yeah. So you get like some alerts. The other way would be like an alert for everything, but then it feels like Windows Vista, and after alert number 10, you're like blind. So like building clever harnesses to help yourself not make mistakes and like have the agent a little bit in a stricter path, useful. And ultimately, every team should have an agent.
Sure.
Like every Slack channel or whatever you use, or MS Teams, there should be an agent that has context about the project. You should have your personal agent that knows context. I see a lot of the people in their private life already using OpenClaw like that. In companies, we are just starting to get that going, right? In OpenAI, we have workspace agents that do like some parts of that, but it's still just the beginning. There's so much more that we need to figure out. Part of the work we did the last few months was making OpenClaw more secure.
Yeah.
Because it started as my little pet project. And now we just announced that Microsoft is shipping it to their customers, or like starting. And there was a lot of work involved around observability.
What does that mean? It will be available for install as something that someone can put on a Windows machine?
There's multiple ways, yeah.
Okay. But that's exciting. Please keep going. What do they want their customers to be able to do with it?
I mean, we went from 2 years ago where ChatGPT could answer questions to agents like Codex that loop. The more you get an agent to loop, the more abilities you give it, the better the outcome can be, right? You saw these people complaining, oh, how many R's are in strawberry? Agents are so silly, they can't even count that. No, you just generate code for that. Everything's better with code. And then that was kind of like last year.
Yeah.
And then this year, the transformation happened that your agent is becoming proactive.
Yeah.
And I think some of that I pioneered in OpenClaw with like Heartbeat, also a great token burner. But now in the latest generation of agents, if you tell Codex, hey, remind me in half an hour, or look at this PR and tell me when CI is green, it'll just set up its own automation and then keep going autonomously.
Right.
And the fact that the agent is now so aware of its harness that it can create little things that ping the agent again is again, helping more of my mental flow, I can offload for an agent to do autonomously. And like, there's so much more where we can go in that direction, right? Like, there should be like, if I use a coding agent, there should be another agent that knows about my coding agent and like knows what the other agents do, can take over. We're still just getting started.
Yeah. That's super exciting. We touched on this briefly. As you know, in the world of computer science, even software engineers, there are various specializations. There are the infrastructure gurus that were really good at creating high performance, massive scale systems, while we had a very different breed of people that would create amazing end user experiences that had this intuitive feel for what is a product, what is its surface, how do you make it available in a way that truly resonates. This to me was the magic of early ChatGPT. It came packaged in something that so many of us could relate to. It's also the magic of OpenCloud, very different, but it was like that interaction paradigm that people found incredibly attractive, reachable from anywhere. As we get deeper into coding agents, and technically anyone can write code for anything, what does specialization mean? Who does what?
Multiple ways. I mean, I see specialization both on the agent level,
Sure.
where at least for now, with the models we have, if you specialize your agent for like a specific group of tasks,
Yeah.
it will perform better. The memory they store will be more on point,
Yeah.
and you generally have a better experience than having one agent that does everything. But at the same time, we as humans still have our specialization. It's not like everyone can now do everything,
Right.
but if I don't deeply understand software, I will not be able to build something very complex and have a good time maintaining it, right?
Yeah.
So again, these are tools that amplify what we can do, and the more you learn it, the more you use it, the faster you'll be. But if you don't understand what does it mean to deliver a good product experience, or how do you actually design a good database,
Yeah.
the agent will only help you so much. Like taste is the hardest thing that you can automate away.
Correct. Which brings a related question. If you're now just going to school, what would you study? Let's say we'll rewind back, 17 years old, you can do anything, you're going to college, what do you do?
The funny thing,
I find that a terrifying question for what it's worth.
it is. I always tell people the number one skill I learned at university was how to be strategic, how to like find the right people for the right task and fight myself through the system, because at least in Austria it's not always very easy. But these are kind of like those life skills that you need. Not even the technical part, just the fighting my way through the system.
Yeah.
I learned so many skills that are very useful now for my daily life. And then all the basics, how to build software, still very useful to understand.
Yeah.
Like you need to understand what's the difference between a linear and a quadratic algorithm. Because the agent knows, but unless you ask the right question, the agent will probably not remind you.
Yeah.
And will just write code that is simpler, and then suddenly your software performs like dog shit, because you didn't ask the right question.
Yeah. Lots of folks are struggling with this. I think we have a good group of folks here. We'd love to do some Q&A. Let's bring Danica up on stage and have her ask a few questions.
Go away. All right, folks. You have been holding on to questions the entire time. I think, Sridhar, we may only have time for one. So who's it going to
that's
be?
tough.
Please.
Hello, pleasure to have you here. I just have one question. Like, why do you think like OpenCloud became very popular into tech people, but let's say non-tech people that don't know anything about software? Like, I don't see them using it very much. like, and they get like very frustrated with like sometimes it like a new update or something like breaks it. What do you think? How can we get like for normal users, non-tech users, to use it?
Well, I don't think buying a Mac Mini or running it and installing it on your computer is the final form for non-technical people. Like, agents will work in the cloud. Even us running codec sessions locally is not the final form.
I
Like,
think he's giving you a product idea. Like,
well, we may or may not be working on things. There's only so much I can tell. But I fully agree with you, and yes.
coming soon.
All right.
I mean, agents in the cloud, your own personal assistant. Absolutely.
All right. I think we're going to have to end Q&A. I'm so sorry, but you'll be around, right?
Yes.
So if you have any additional questions, please find them after. All right?
Thank you all. Thank you, Peter.
Thanks so much.
Such a pleasure. Thank you. I think we go this way.
which is costly, infrequent, and limited to a small number of locations. In this competition, we were only given data from just 162 monitoring stations, but asked to predict water quality at entirely unseen locations.
Zero overlap, no direct measurements, only data and physics. This is fundamentally hard because most machine learning models rely on seeing similar locations during the training. Here, the model must generalize to entire new rivers with different geology, climate, and human activities. Our key insight is simple. Rivers that are geographically close tend to behave similar. So instead of predicting water quality in isolation, we asked, what can nearby rivers tell us?
In order to accomplish this, we developed geographic k-nearest neighbors meta features. For any location, we identify nearby monitored rivers and compute distance-weighted summaries of their water quality. Geographic and environmental distances alone are only moderately correlated. Nearby stations may be in different environments, and distant stations might actually have similar conditions. Using KNN meta features allows us to create a spatial interpolation framework that captures a core principle of our approach, that nearby rivers share geological and hydrological characteristics, while blending geographic neighbors with environmentally similar but physically distant stations. This accounts for the moderate correlation and is especially valuable for predicting results in the validation set, where the nearest training stations may be in different biomes.
All right, folks, are we ready for our next Luminary session? Oh, come on. Come on. All right, if you are still looking for a seat, we have some. Please settle in. All right, folks. So what happens when the consumers of our code are no longer humans? They are agents. Yeah? Sorry, I'm waiting for a title. Waiting for a title. Should I tell jokes? I don't have any good ones. Man, I had all that time to prep for jokes. Oops. Oh, nice. They're not jokes, though. They didn't give me jokes. All right, folks, before we get into things, I want to ask you a question. I kind of partially asked it already, because I bet all of you are grappling with this now. Yeah? What happens when the primary users of your code that you are writing are not humans anymore? Instead, we're building for agents. Yeah? Whenever your APIs, your UIs even, your infrastructure, what does this look like when we're building it for autonomous agents rather than humans consuming it, right? What changes when we're thinking about the architecture of that? All right, so our next speaker has been thinking pretty deeply about exactly this question. So please join me in welcoming to the stage Malte Ubel, CTO of Vercel.
How's it going, everyone? Let me grab my clicker here. All right, let's get this started. So yeah, my name is Malte. I'm the CTO of Vercel, and we're in the middle of kind of a major disruption of many things. And part of that disruption is that I'm going from someone who has a role where you go to meetings and you make decisions and other people are working for you, to being able to, every time there's a 5-minute break, have my agent do a little bit of work for me, do a meeting, make a few decisions, and then come back and hope for the best. And so that's why I like to present my personal vibe coding stack. I've been able to release a few things this year alone, which have been fun. I made Chat SDK, which is a piece of software that can attach your agents to the chat app of your choice, Slack, Teams, Google Chat, WhatsApp, etc. I made Just Bash, which is a Bash interpreter written in TypeScript, which allows your agent to have a bash without a full sandbox. We're actually heavily using this with data apps because the agents love using bash to kind of explore data. And you can do this in this way very efficiently. And then the final point, and I'm actually going to talk a little bit more in depth about this, is DeepSec, which is a system for very deeply investigating your existing millions of lines of code for security issues. And just like my role changes, I think there's this broader trend in the industry to this role of AI engineering. And no offense to data engineering, but I use this pages to agents because it used to be that there's web development was this like ultra mainstream discipline of development, right? And that is transforming to AI engineering, which is now the main way of building new applications. And besides that role change, it's really obviously changing how we build, right? Like, I mean, everyone went from typing code by hand to probably using agent as part of their regular jobs. And then on the other hand, obviously the agents are coming into our roles as the thing we built. So what we're building is changing as well as part of this disruption. And so as part of, again, a disruption, people ask me a lot, you know, hey, Malte, is there a place for engineers in that future, right? And what about the next generation of engineers? And I couldn't be more convinced that the answer is yes, right? So envision, for example, me doing a TikTok video. And, you know, you better not. I would really suck at it. But like the next generation of folks, they're really good at this. They've grown with it. And then there's a very similar way what we're seeing now with our interns. They're molded in having AI agents doing their jobs, and so they're actually substantially better than someone who might have been on the role for 10 years. But it's not just that next generation that's doing really well, I think. Not that's just the kids will be all right. I think we'll all be fine. And the reason is because agents are a new kind of software. And I'll explain what I mean with this. Imagine, and you're all better at data visualizations than me. I'll make a data visualization. This is a Venn diagram. This is all, imagine all the software that we would like to make. Effectively, this is everything that could possibly be automated if you could do it, right? Like, so that it would be more efficient, that we would be more productive. That's the entire set. And kind of my thesis is that with traditional software, we were only kind of scratching the surface, where we were only automating a little bit of the stuff that was automatable. You could maybe fill out more, but you would be making these like mega projects with lots of complexity, trying to etch out like a little bit more automation. And so theoretically speaking, there was just a border, right? And what agents are really bringing to the table is that there's more software that we can write to make things productive in an economically viable way, because it's just possible to actually make this in a finite amount of time. My next point is, again, just give you an argument for why there's a good role for software engineers in the future, is that obviously companies are making all these decisions whether I buy some software, do I buy Snowflake, or do I make my own data warehouse from scratch? What we're really seeing in the market is that people are making that make decision more often. And obviously there's the SaaS apocalypse being, discussed. But the opposite of that is there's more software to write, and so there's ultimately more work for software engineers to do, even if every little bit is more efficient. And really what we're seeing is that there is this Jevons paradox for software happening, right? Where technically agents are helping us be more secure, but the actual job postings for software engineers are going up because the marginal cost of software is going down, which means people are making more software. They still need more software to maintain because software still takes time to maintain. Cool. That's a little bit of my framing. Just to give you an idea, we at Vercel have built a bunch of agents. Some of these you can buy from us. Some of them you can't, right? We make V0, which is a vibe coding tool. That was in the announcements for Snowflake being now deeply integrated with Snowflake for making data apps. We built our own internal data agent, obviously super relevant for this audience. This has been completely transformative for the companies. There's a few hundred of us, and we're seeing hundreds of questions a day asked to this agent for anything that they might want to know about the company. I cannot imagine that previously we had anything close to that, where you would have to have, I don't know, Slack the data team, right? Like it's a whole different order of magnitude. There's a content agent supporting our marketing department, being heavily involved. We have a customer support agent that's now deflecting 93% of all customer queries. We built this ourselves from scratch in a few days, really. I'll deep dive into our lead qualifying agent, and then there's the Vercel agent, which our customers use to make their use of our platform more efficient. Now, speaking of that lead qualifying agent, we wrote a blog post about it, and then Business Insider picked it up. And they kind of misunderstood us a little bit because we were saying that one person could now do the job of 10. And so this might be the privilege of being a growing company, but we didn't lay off 9 people, right? We just gave these people a better job because previously they were spending all this toil with essentially research work and stuff that was actually not their job, which was to, I don't know, call people and email them to buy our product. So we just became a much more efficient, much more effective organization as part of this. And so the way this works, it receives the user traffic when people go to our website and say, hey, I want to be your customer, and inspects what's going on, right? And what we really did here is essentially spent about $5,000 a year on tokens and software, and at the same time giving us, having about a 20% of an engineer maintaining it. So there's about a 32x ROI if you just kind of multiply the cost to the savings it has. Going through this really quickly how it works, right? So because this pattern is actually really important. You go on a website and you say, hi, I would like to buy your product, right? So previously there was a human inspecting all these flows, and now there's an agent, right? Most of the time that agent says, actually, this is just someone who wanted support and they filled out the wrong form. And obviously then our agent can immediately forward this to the support team. Some of the time this looks more legit, and then we would go, look at their LinkedIn profile, Google search them, see how many employees the company has, right? Do all this research. And then eventually we write this to Salesforce where an actual human picks up that work. But by the time the human sees it, essentially all the work they would have done has already been done, right? Don't want to spend too much time here, but Vercel makes the AI SDK, which is the most popular toolkit for building agents. We're using our AI gateway. We use Chat SDK to tie it to Slack. Already talked about this earlier. That's something I built. We use our Fluid Compute, our sandboxes, because what we really do is we give an agent files that we extract from the internet to then go through with Bash and Python and Node to kind of deep dive on the data. And in order for those agents to be able to run for a long time, we use our workflow infrastructure so that it could, in this case, maybe run a few minutes, but if the agent needs to work for hours or days, this would be robust. All right. So we all need to come together to build that next application layer for agents. To give all of you some ideas for your companies how to do this, I went through most of the work we've done and that our customers have been doing to kind of describe some of the archetypes of practical non-coding agents. And I say non-coding because we're all super excited about Cloud Code and Codex, etc. But I think the future is agents that do things for businesses. I also like to call them business agencies. So these are agents that work at companies, basically, right? And so these are the archetypes that we found. The first one, and support agents are kind of the first thing people think about anyway, are agents that always run for your company, right? And so when you think about what could an agent do for me, think about how would your business be different if something that maybe happens now at a 9 to 5 would actually work on a 24/7, right? And that should probably trigger some ideas in your head for things you could do. The next thing is what I call compress the research. And the pattern I just showed you, where we get a sales lead, we investigate it, and then we move forward, it's exactly this pattern. But every company has this, where again, you have the same pattern. You have a business event, you do some research, and you do a human decision. The beauty of this is, if all you do is give the research phase to an agent, you didn't actually change the process. And process changes are hard in companies. So if you can roll out an agent without changing the process, that project is so much more likely to be successful. And if that process happens a lot, let's say, and then you compress it from maybe 10 minutes of work to 30 seconds of work, you can have an incredible impact with extremely low risk. So I talked about our sales leads agent, but I'll give you another example. As a large platform, we do get lots of abuse reports. And again, abuse reports, business event comes in, abuse agent looks at this, makes its own assessment, downloads the website, etc., and then gives it to a support agent to make that final assessment. Exactly the same pattern. Next one is the notion of surfacing hidden information. And that might be the most magical use case in companies, because it's extremely common that there's information in your company that technically exists, but for all intents and purposes, you cannot use it, right? Obviously, as data experts, you know about this even better, but like it's so common, right? Like think about your issue tracker. Is your issue tracker up to date? No, it's not up to date, right? But there's probably some meeting notes, some Zoom recording, some Slack message that technically contains the missing information, right? And so in this abundance of agents, you can have an agent read Slack, update the issue tracker, update whatever you have, right? So you want to be in a future where there's no list in your company that's not up to date. And I think that would be quite transformative. For the last archetype is what I call the boring things. So what we've found is really powerful is go to the kind of line of business workers in your company and ask them, what do you hate most about your job? And what you get back are these kind of tasks that they don't like because they're boring, right? And so, but that also means they're probably cognitively not so complicated, and that means that agents will be good at solving them, right? So you get the perfect sweet spot. And so I think a really good example here is our support agent, which I was already mentioning, does 93% deflection of the tasks, and at the same time made that team so much more happy because now they actually get to work on the difficult stuff and not the stuff that was actually never a problem in the first place. All right, so those are the archetypes. Another thing that changes about the application layer is that the application layer is now being consumed by agent. Now, my company makes software for developers, so we're ahead of the curve here, but this will happen to every other company. So looking at the stats of our website, as of the last 7 days, 80% of the page views were agents, right? So, which is obviously a stark difference, right? I have this website that actually doesn't get that much more traffic now, maybe double, right? But we, also our business has grown quite a bit, but the traffic shifted completely away from human to agents at the same time. And so one of the very concrete changes that we have made to how we build products is that in the past, someone would show me, hey, I have a new idea for a product, here's the UI. And I now always ask them, well, did you ship it in the CLI? Because if you didn't ship your change in the API and the CLI, I basically don't care about it because my users are agents. And if the agents can't use it, then it basically doesn't exist. All right, so that's all the good stuff. Coming really, really quickly to the topic of security, right? Without aging myself too much, it does feel a little bit like 1999, where the way the web worked is that you could essentially hack anything you wanted if you would put your mind to it, because the security just wasn't developed that much. We are living in somewhat secure times, but it's worth remembering when the Snowden files were released. Google, for example, only started pushing for HTTPS after, and that is not that long ago, right? So we're in a relatively new phase where people really care about security, and we're sliding back, right? So that's something we all have to be very conscious about. I'll give you one example where we are not in good shape. All the agent harnesses on the market today, with very, very few exceptions, have fundamentally the wrong architecture because they run the harness and the code that the harness generates in the same security context. And that's a very bad idea because the harness is essentially, it's like a service that you could deploy to Kubernetes. It's essentially trusted software, but the code it generates is not trusted software. Now, people put both of them in a sandbox. That's better than running them in your production cluster. Don't get me wrong. But the generated software can steal secrets from the harness because they're in the same security context. So that's very bad. And so that's just one of the examples where what we do is not up to where we should be. And we as a whole kind of community have to just get better and be ready to improve security over the next few years, because there really is a lot to do. And to give you a concrete example of what can be done, I personally have been very impressed by code review agents and their capability to find security issues. Like I personally was pushing a piece of a production PR to actually one of our production serving systems where it would be really bad to have a security issue. And I got a review comment from Versalis review agent telling me they had a security issue. And I was delighted, right? Like, how great is this? Because that was a type of issue that probably wouldn't have been caught by human. And so this was amazing. And so as CTO, while I was like freelancing writing code, obviously my next question was, okay, I have 20 million lines of code. When do they get reviewed, right? Like, I mean, it's nice to have it incrementally. Even if you have, many of you probably do have a code review agent. Well, has the code review agent reviewed your code with Codex 5.5? Probably not if it was written 3 months ago, right? So you kind of need to do this again every time a model drops. And so that's why I built DeepSec, which is an open source project that can run yourself in your own infrastructure, where the whole point of DeepSec is that you run code review on all code you have, period, right? And be prepared to spend a lot of money on this, right? It's not cheap if you have millions of lines of code. Our estimate right now is that we spend about $50,000 on tokens on this, which sounds both like a lot of money, but if you think about, for example, how many HackerOne payments that would be that we now don't have to pay because we found the thing, and how many security issues we won't have, this is the best $50,000 I've ever spent in my life, right? So I can really encourage folks to try this out. Again, it's fully open source. There's no business interest here on my side. Obviously, in the ideal world, you kind of hook it up to some software factory where hopefully not that many issues it finds are automatically fixed. But again, you do this for the first time, you probably have your existing processes. I can really, really recommend doing it. Cool. All right. I was speaking fast, but we're also right on time. That's great. I want to do my final point here, which is that the reason why I'm so excited about the application layer is because I think a lot of innovation is happening there. And I think both as folks building these application layers, we have a role to play here that thrives independently of the model labs on top of them. If any of you have been around, and you all have, monitoring how model releases kind of go back and forth, you've all seen that sometimes Model X is better, sometimes Model Y is better. This kind of goes back and forth. It's our job as developers to put a stable layer on top. And that's not only important because that's actually the right thing to do as engineers, but there's really two possible futures. And there's one where the big model labs win, or especially one of them, right? And we don't want to live in that future, because in that future, AI will stay very expensive, right? And the value that these AI produces essentially goes to that one company, right? And we turn from being engineers to being, at best, forward deployed engineers for OpenAI, Anthropic, or Google, right? And it's not what I had in mind for my personal future. But I also don't think it's likely at all, right? In fact, the opposite is happening, right? The models are commoditizing, and we have these amazing options, like Claude is amazing, Codex is amazing. I think Google will catch up, right? It's all great. I actually think that Google is really important here because they're really incentivized to sell us this stuff at a fair price. And so I think they act as a really good balancing factor to make the layer on top be very effective in this world. And in that world, we as developers can be the powerful ones. And the business value that our agent create that goes to our employers, right, where it belongs. And that's where we can build, real innovation. That's where, Peter was here, OpenClaw gets invented. That's all application layer stuff that I couldn't be more excited about. And that's all I had for you today. Thank you so much.
and it makes this super interactive and intuitive in the flow of your work. You can compare across different time frames, charts, or even different pages by passing them as context pills for cross-surface analysis. So try it out and let us know.
All right, folks, I know we are getting ready for lunchtime, but please settle in. We have some more great talks for you. So, I have a feeling that this next session is really going to resonate with each and every one of you. Quick show of hands. How many of you have used a coding agent in the last week? Okay, I'm pretty sure it should be all of you. Some of you aren't being honest, all right? But it goes to show that we are all engaging with this technology. So our next speaker is going to take that a step further and dive into what happens when agents aren't just assisting you, but they're truly the ones taking the wheel, they're building. So we're talking about the entire development lifecycle, team dynamics, even what it means to be a developer right now. All of this is shifting. So please join me in welcoming Tito Carriero, VP of Engineering, Product and Design at Cursor.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Maybe just a tiny bit of background. I started my career at Facebook as a product engineer and kind of grew up as an engineering leader at Facebook, then Dropbox, then a company called Segment, which worked closely with Snowflake. And I joined Cursor about 10 months ago. And my mind has been completely blown in the last 10 months, which feels like 4 years. And I think just the shift that we've been feeling in terms of how I do the craft of my job and my team does the craft of their job has never felt like it's just changing so quickly. And so I thought today would be fun to talk about sort of the end of coding as we know it, which I know sounds very dramatic. But I think the truth is we've already been through a couple of tectonic shifts in 2024, 2025. I think we're in the middle of one right now. So I wanted to talk about that today. Share a little bit about sort of how Cursor is navigating it internally. I manage the team internally that is dealing with all of this AI coding stuff, obviously very excitedly. And then also share a little bit about what we're seeing in our customer base. We obviously work with many of the most innovative companies in the world and just kind of wanted to talk you through some of the shifts. This is intentionally a fairly short talk, so I should have time for Q&A. So please think about your very best questions, and we should have time for a couple questions and answers. Okay, so what are these tectonic shifts? Well, Cursor started a couple years ago, and the first product was a product called Tab. And believe it or not, just a couple years ago, engineers used to handwrite every single piece of software. They would write the entire line of code painstakingly, and Cursor came along and built what was called an autocomplete model. And in particular, it looked at the last 10 or so minutes of behavior, and it was a model trained to guess the next 5 minutes of activity. And sure enough, it worked really, really well. And I think that was the first sort of tectonic shift that happened, which was we went from like handwriting many, many, many lines of code to sort of Tab, auto-completing a lot of thinking. And then this graph is about a tectonic shift that happened in 2025. And so sort of toward the beginning of 2025, you can kind of see it in the spring, models actually become usable, LLMs become usable for writing code. And so we started to see pretty rapid agent adoption. And I joined Cursor kind of right in the middle of this flat line. So when I joined Cursor in the summer of 2025, it felt like maybe the very best companies were writing something like 30 or 40% of their code with AI, the very most forward-leaning engineers. But still, a lot of it was getting done by hand. And then another sort of shift happened later in 2025, which is models like Opus 4.5, GPT-5.3 Codex, Composer 2 came out, and we started to actually see the agent requests overtake tab accepts. And in particular, the most innovative companies in the world and the best software engineers started to write more like 99% of their code with AI. And we've even seen in our enterprise base, the more conservative folks, even the most conservative kind of cohorts we look at are already writing 70% of their code with AI, and that number is going up and to the right. And so obviously, pretty incredible sort of second shift. And now, less than 6 months later, I think we're on the precipice of another paradigm shift, which is primarily what this talk is about. So if you think of the first era as Tab that I just went through, you think of the second era as agents, these assistants that we're working with synchronously live, trying to parallelize. I think we're just getting into this sort of third era, which I call the agent system. And honestly, I think we're still all figuring out what this will look like. We're still figuring out internally exactly what this will look like. Many of the workflows feel very awkward. It doesn't really feel like we are ready to have code basically just become a solved problem in a year. But we're all trying to figure it out. And I think that's one of the most invigorating parts of the system. I think you can think of sort of agent systems, though, as teams of agents that are kicked off, hopefully run in the background mostly, and they're capable of sort of doing increasingly ambitious tasks end to end. And you can start to think of these sort of agent systems as almost like colleagues or teams of colleagues, as opposed to these coding assistants you're working with synchronously. Okay, so as we start to think about agent systems, what are the new challenges that we're running into? Well, I'd like to start with the SDLC, because I think what the problem we solved in 2025 last year is we really solved a lot of the problems in the build part of the SDLC. But one of the interesting things that we've observed out in the field as we're working with customers is even the very forward-leaning folks who are spending tons and tons and tons on tokens often are reporting maybe something like 40% gains to overall productivity. And your intuition here, or at least my intuition, tells me that we should be at 3x gains, 5x gains, and we're not quite there yet. And so I've spent a lot of time in my last 10 months thinking about this problem. And I think the problem is we've solved one part of the SDLC, but we need to sort of set up these agent systems to solve so many other parts of the SDLC. And so I like to think a lot about what those parts are and imagine a world where agents are pushing as much as possible in each part of the SDLC. And then I also think the other interesting thing to think about as leaders is we need to figure out, okay, if agents are capable of doing all of this stuff, where do we still need humans to review, and where do we want humans to steer the agents? And so I know everyone has slightly different SDLCs, but you could broadly think about an SDLC as plan, build, ship, and retro. And so as I've thought about this, we're leaning in on kind of all different parts of the SDLC to do a lot more with agents. But we also have pretty clear human gates of what we want to have happen, from the humans to approve and make sure that we're aligned with what all of these agents are doing. And so, for instance, on the product side of the house, we do have PMs, contrary to some rumors on X. We do have PMs, and we still have PMs sort of collect lots of the feedback we're getting. We get a lot more of that feedback autonomously with agents. We do a lot more sort of competitive research and various market dynamic research with agents. But at the end of the day, a human is still putting it together and kind of aligning with me, with our founders on the direction forward. On the build side, obviously a lot of the coding pieces have become a lot cheaper to do, but we still have humans on point for reviewing the architecture. In Cursor, it will often come back with a screenshot in a demo. We still have humans review those screenshots and demos very carefully. We still do a lot of dog fooding internally, which is sort of a more scaled way of reviewing the demo before it hits production. But there are many pieces of the build system that have been automated. I think one of the really interesting ones that's changing very quickly right now is the ship phase. I think obviously we do not have agents fully hooked up to PagerDuty. Our engineers would love that, but our engineers do still get paged in the middle of the night as one of our inference providers is falling over, or we're hitting scaling limits, and so we don't yet have an ability to fully end-to-end triage things. But more and more of the ship process is happening. Kind of the post-commit process is happening autonomously. I have a little bit more later in the talk about this, and then obviously the retro piece, making sure that we are making it clear what our analytics are that we care about and what success looks like. I think the agents are not aware of this, and we have to kind of give feedback on the outcomes and make sure that's flowing back through the system. But I think the challenge of setting up agent systems is really about scaling the ability to use agents in many more pieces of the SDLC. And so I think that's kind of the thing I would challenge you all with today is thinking outside of the writing code piece. What are all the other little pieces of toil that folks are doing, and how can we have agents help with those? So if I were to kind of show an abstract version of this, I kind of think of the models in the harness as this intelligence layer. Obviously, that's at the base of all of this. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to turn intelligence into kind of software and overall artifacts that humans love. And so I kind of think of this system as like this intermediary piece, and the system is outputting polished artifacts. So that polished artifact might be a product review that's ready for review. It might be a PR that also comes along with a demo and a really nice high-level overview of the architecture decisions that were made that a human can review. And then those artifacts should also have a very efficient way for humans to provide feedback on it and the agents to go work on that feedback. And so I kind of model everything in my head as roughly this abstraction. But I know that it's hard to think in abstraction, so I wanted to actually walk you through what the very first agent system we built was a couple months ago, and kind of give you a feel for how one of these systems is constructed a little bit more pragmatically, and then I'll walk you through a couple other use cases as well. We built, one of the engineers on our team, her name is Lauren, she built a PM agent and an EM agent that one day showed up in Slack and just started giving us a synthesis of all of the bugs that had been reported across Linear, and we do a lot of bug reporting in particular Slack channels. So all of the bugs that had been reported, it started triaging them, telling us what the P0 ones were, the P1 ones were, the P2 ones were, and then a week later, she took it one step further, and then she started actually assigning out these P0 tasks to the engineer who looks like they should own it based on the kind of code-based ownership map that we have internally. And at first, this kind of blew my mind. I just saw the output. I was like, whoa, this is really cool. Like, we had taken this very painful task that was the on-call engineer sitting there, like, going through every single Linear ticket and going through every single Slack channel that, or the bug reporting in Slack, and kind of just going through every single report, trying to figure out what was going on, investigating the code. And so she had kind of spotted this as a problem, and she had said, hey, why don't we see if we can make an agent system that does this? And a couple weeks later, had this really cool system that we've been iterating on a bunch. So how does a system like this actually work? I would say it's actually not that magical. And so once I looked into it, not that I was disappointed, it was super cool, but there's no magic here. So we have this agent manager, which is an EM agent that has a system prompt that knows how to kind of work with all of these bug report agents. I would say most of the logic for this one ended up in the bug report agent. So the bug report agent is an automation that runs in Cursor. It responds to Slack messages in a particular channel, which is where the bug reporting happens, and it responds to new Linear tickets getting created. And it has a system prompt that basically tells the agent to try to figure out what is going on in the code base. So she had two skills that she had already built. One's called why and one's called how. And these skills basically just help the agent really dig into the code base and kind of teach it how to investigate bug reports. And so it uses those two skills. It responds to a trigger. And the agent is also instructed to ask the human reporter for more information. So it's actually really fun to watch these Slack channels, these Slack threads go down. You'll have the agent kind of like pushing back on the humans a little, like, are you sure this repros, or like, this is how this is designed? And so you have a lot of the dialogue that previously engineers were doing. Obviously, the agents are always there 24/7. So right as the bug report happens, all of this back and forth goes down within 15 minutes. And it's been quite interesting. I would say some of them are just kind of questions that get kind of auto-resolved once the agent clarifies that this is how it was intended to work and this is why. Some of them turn into real bug reports. Some of them turn into feature requests. And then those bug reports, some of them were auto-fixing end-to-end. Other ones were not able to do that yet. But been really cool just seeing sort of this toil kind of solved. And we have to invest a lot in making it better. And there's definitely an iterative process. You don't get it right on day one. But it turns out if you give it access to the right skills and tools, you give it memories so that it learns as it makes mistakes and it doesn't make those mistakes again. You make it really good at kind of pushing out kind of really good artifacts back to the thread. You can really make quite a useful agent to do something like bug triage. So I often get, how else does Cursor build with Cursor? I thought I would highlight two other recent use cases and then talk a little bit about the organizational dynamics of getting these use cases going. So one of the use cases, we believe a lot that we're moving toward a world where code bases should be self-driving and should kind of auto-heal themselves. One of the early problems that we found, basically our PR volume is going like this, as I'm sure it is at your company as well. I have not approved headcount for application security to also go like this. And so the application security team kind of had a problem, which is like, how the heck do we keep up with all of the kind of manual review we used to be doing on PRs? And so one of the members of our team, someone named Travis, he built a security agent. And so he basically modeled what he and his team were doing on all of these PRs, and it was maybe 10 or 15 different types of queries. And then he sort of trained the agent to put out the findings almost exactly in the format that the findings would get put out anyway. And suddenly we had this very cool security agent that is annoying to the engineers because it's very thorough, but it's also finding all kinds of bugs. And so in the first month or so of this, security agents had found about 200 vulnerabilities, had auto-fixed the vast majority of them. And actually, since writing this slide 2 or 3 weeks ago, we actually shipped this as a formal product. It's called Cursor Security Review. And so you can actually go into Cursor and turn on some toggles, and you can get this automated out of the box. But this has been really, really helpful at kind of some of the post-commit pieces. I think there's actually a lot to be done kind of after the commit. The local commit lands before it ships to production. There's tons of different ways we're finding internally to kind of make the shipping of the software a little bit more seamless and not as much kind of manual testing. And then, yeah, one other example here. We were making a change maybe 2 months ago to add much more rigorous code review rules in various places. And one of the complaints we got from the team was, hey, we often have these very small changes that are just these like little string changes. It would be great if we could just push the changes anyway. And so our risk bot basically helps us understand what the risk vectors are. And if it's very low, we actually circumvent some of the human review that's normally required. And then if it's higher, we'll often get very specific feedback back on why it's higher, and then also who we need to loop in as the domain expert to help review this change. Cool. The last thought here is, what does this mean for you? I think one of the interesting things about Era 1 and Era 2 was it was a lot easier for people to kind of self-select into these eras, and they just started to do the thing. I found that this third era actually requires a little bit more engineering management and kind of leadership focus, because it forces an engineer to kind of get out of their normal day-to-day. And when an agent gets stuck, the natural thing to do is the engineer is just trying to get a feature out the door or trying to fix something. And so they want to just kind of jam it through and get the thing fixed. But you have to actually step back and you have to say like, okay, how do I coach this agent and give this agent more context or tell this agent what to do differently? And it's a little bit like being the manager for a second. You have to kind of be an agent manager instead of an IC just trying to get a task done. And so this has actually been the hardest one, even internally, a very kind of AI-pilled, AI-forward company like Cursor, to get this behavioral change. And so we have this sort of mantra that if an agent gets stuck, instead of just like taking over and fixing the problem, you take a step back and really think about like, why did the agent get stuck and how do I help it not get stuck again? So anyway, as you're starting to think about this, I think you have to evolve the culture around that. You have to set explicit goals. You have to find the pockets of people who are champions, who are kind of playing around with AI. And yeah, maybe one other theme we've been finding is we've been having kind of more full stack pods with a couple of engineers, a designer, product manager, kind of replace what was these much bigger teams. All right, I promised time for Q&A. I have 2 minutes left, so I will maybe answer 1 or 2 questions. Thank you.
Hi, thank you. I've had a kind of thought experiment that I'd love your reaction to as it relates to that concept of the agent manager. You kind of touched on that for a second. I think there's a knee-jerk reaction or a conventional wisdom that's existed for 30, 40 years now that we build and then we put things out on the field like a football team, and we hope they do well, and if they don't, then we rebuild them. And instead, we live in a world now where we could basically be on the field. We could operationalize humans in a way that enables them to be a architectural component of the system. So I'm curious if you guys have thought about that. not just, like you said, not just handling exceptions and not just observing and then fixing at build time, but fixing in real time, fixing, coaching, changing prompts, versioning things, and massaging the system such that the human is essentially a core component of the operational architecture.
Yeah, certainly. I think one of the interesting things in just what I was showing is just how iterative the process has been. So you kind of need to start somewhere. So you put something on the field, I guess, to use your words, and then it kind of falls flat. It's like a little bit disappointing on day one, and then you need to ask yourself okay, I know this can work. I have confidence this can work. How do I iterate on the next step? And then you kind of keep that iteration process. And then the interesting thing is the human then starts to fade into the background. Lauren was on this, PM EM agent nonstop for a couple of weeks, just it wasn't quite right. And people were annoyed that it was spamming the channels. And then she started to tune it, and then it started to get better. And then, she started to be able to kind of actually delegate more and more. I don't know. I think the analogy is pretty similar to kind of working with humans and managing humans, which is, you really get in there, you tinker a lot, you tune it a lot, and then it starts to just work, and it starts to become a little bit more of a production system, and then you can start to zone out of it a little bit, and then hopefully don't have to pay attention, and then maybe there's a regression or something, and you dive back in. But yeah, I think I do think agents are more and more of the infrastructure, but I do think there's a very iterative process to get it there. And I think that's maybe the dirty little secret that people don't talk about, is just how much work and love needs to go into it. And that's kind of what I was talking about, evolving the culture, is you really need to push teams to get there. And I think it is that iterative process you're talking about. Cool. I think I'm out of time. I'll be over here if you have any other questions, but thanks so much for having me.
Hello, everyone. Please make your way to the Builders Theater. The grand finale of the Snowflake Startup Challenge will begin soon. Hello, everyone. Please make your way to the Builders Theater. The grand finale of the Snowflake Startup Challenge will begin soon. Hello, Snowflake Summit and Developer Day. We are back with another installment of the Snowflake Startup Challenge. Now, in its 6th year and in partnership with the New York Stock Exchange, this competition continues to highlight and invest in the most innovative startups building on Snowflake in a world that is quite literally changing right before our eyes.
The increased adoption of AI and Gen AI have forever altered the business era, and the companies who are able to properly monetize their data to drive meaningful business outcomes will be the ones to summit to new heights in the time of enterprise AI.
That is what we are after. For the 6th Snowflake Startup Challenge, which founder leads the team, has the vision, product roadmap, and go-to-market strategy to build the next game-changing application on Snowflake. We've gone global to bring the AI Data Cloud ecosystem to life and have narrowed it down to our top 3. Silicon Valley is waiting for the next big thing, and that is what today is all about. Picking a winner won't be easy, but our judges are ready. Benoit Dageville, a leading expert in parallel execution and self-tuning database systems, founded Snowflake in 2012 and has served as president of products and scaled the AI Data Cloud to the powerhouse platform it is today. John Barad is a partner at Capital One Ventures, where he leads the enterprise productivity practice. His work involves identifying, nurturing, and making strategic investments to drive industry innovation and accelerate Capital One's partnerships with emerging companies. Denise Pearson, the architect of the Snowflake Startup Challenge and Snowflake CMO, has played a pivotal role in driving growth and scaling Snowflake's revenue from 1 million to billions, with over 25 years of technology marketing experience at high-growth companies. And rounding our judges out, we have John Herrick, Chief Product Officer for the New York Stock Exchange, a part of Intercontinental Exchange responsible for product development and innovation across all areas of the exchange's business. John oversees the NYSE's transactions, ETF listings, and market data businesses, driving competitive strategy and distribution.
The time is now. Pitches have been refined. Talking points worked out. $1 million in investments from Snowflake Ventures is on the line. San Francisco, please make some noise. The Snowflake Startup Challenge Grand Finale starts right now.
Please welcome to the stage your host, Snowflake News anchor, Ryan Green.
Hello, Snowflake Developer Day, and welcome to the grand finale of the Snowflake Startup Challenge. How we doing? All right, I'm Ryan Green, Snowflake's news anchor, and I'll be your host for today's grand finale. And we are living in such a transformative moment in our history where data and AI are no longer future concepts. but the driving force behind businesses innovate, operate, and compete every single day. That is what it's all about. What's once felt impossible is now happening in real time, and organizations everywhere are racing to unlock the full potential of AI to transform customer experience, accelerate decision making, and redefine what's possible. That is what's on the line today. In the era of agentic AI, the pace of innovation has never been faster, and the companies that lead with a data-first strategy are truly the ones shaping the future. And that's exactly why we're all here today at Developer Day. Now, in its 6th year, the Snowflake Startup Challenge has grown into a global competition where visionary founders are building the next generation of AI and data-driven companies. And while the competition continues to scale and evolve every year, one thing has remained consistent: Snowflake's commitment to finding bold ideas, exceptional teams, in category-defining innovation. And now, San Francisco, the moment has arrived. Our 3 incredible finalists are sitting right here. One stage, $1 million in investments from Snowflake is on the line, and the opportunity to ring the iconic bell at the New York Stock Exchange. So the question is this: which team is ready to rise to the occasion and take home the grand prize? Moscone, do you think you can help us out with that? Ha, that is what I'm talking about. This year's competition attracted groundbreaking startups from around the world. And after months of pitching and building and competing, it all comes down to these 3 finalists standing here today. So let's meet our final 3. We have arrived. We have Legend. And we have Twine Security. The stage is set. Our 3 finalists are ready and standing by. Now, let's take a look at our judges who will be evaluating their decisions today. Now, they will be looking on these key criteria: overall business potential and market opportunity, innovation and the uniqueness of what they built, how they leverage Snowflake's AI Data Cloud platform, and the team as a whole. All right, Moscone, clearly I know our live audience is ready, and now it's time to meet our judges, who I know are up to the challenge. First up, we have John Bragg, partner at Capital One Ventures, San Francisco. Please make some noise. John, welcome.
Amazing.
On the stage.
All right. Hello.
To dive in from an investing standpoint, what's on your checklist here today?
Well, we're strategic investors, so we're looking for technologies that can help us innovate. Actually, we were early investors in Snowflake, and they helped us on our journey over 10 years ago to build, the first all-cloud financial institution. We knew we couldn't do it alone. There's always startups that can help us get there, and so we're looking for innovation. We're looking at team. We're looking at the market opportunity.
I love it, John. Such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, joining all the way from Wall Street, back for his 2nd year as a judge, we have the Chief Product Officer of the New York Stock Exchange and a dear friend. Give it up for John Herrick. John, great to have you back. For over 200 years, the New York Stock Exchange capital markets have been the envy of the world. What's top of mind today?
Well, first, thanks for having me back, and it's a pleasure. The New York Stock Exchange gets to host this amazing event with Snowflake. I think, as you said in my introduction, looking after the transactions business and the breadth of technical sophistication that our markets represent today, I think I'm going to be looking for how do these innovators, how are they thinking about building products that can help industries that are fairly mature, comply with governance requirements, with resiliency requirements, while really helping bring things to a new level. And then the second thing, which is always important for me, I look for team chemistry. Yeah. And I think a team that is greater than the sum of its parts, that really helps bring the product forward, is a real motivator to me. So I wish you all luck, and thank you.
John, welcome back. Thank you so much. And next, we have the one and only CMO of Snowflake, Denise Pearson. Denise, welcome back. The competition summit has never been bigger. What excites you most about today?
It's so exciting to be back here. This is truly the highlight of the week. And I'm going to be looking at what is the size of the problem these companies are solving, and do they have the passion and the grit to go after it?
Well said. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Denise. And last but certainly not least, we have the ultimate visionary, a builder and Snowflake's own co-founder, Benoit Dageville. Benoit, welcome back. From a founder's perspective, what's top of mind?
For me, it's always, innovation. How, of course, these startups are leveraging our platform and all the features we are building, and the team. I would say these are the three aspects.
I love it. Thank you, Benoit. All right, San Francisco, you ready to meet our first contender?
Yeah.
All right. Enterprises sometimes struggle to operationalize AI because they lack the necessary talent, infrastructure, and governance to build and manage autonomous reasoning models, leading to fragmented and poorly overseen AI stacks. Well, go no further, because Arrived provides Agentic OS, an enterprise-grade operating system that allows organizations to build, fine-tune, orchestrate, and govern autonomous AI agents across cybersecurity, IT, and business operations without needing specialized AI staff. From Devlin, California, we have Arrived.
Arrived is about destination reached.
AI shouldn't be a science project.
It should deliver outcomes. But today, enterprises are stuck, spending millions on AI talent, running pilots that never scale, and stitching point products that don't talk to each other. They don't have an AI problem. They have an execution problem.
That's why we built Arrived.
Hey, I'm Ajay. My name is Anurag Gotu.
Hi, my name is Chirag Patel.
Hi, I'm Neosha Kadaria.
I'm Natik Jain. I am Prithvi.
Hey, this is Ashwin Atle.
Arrived's vision is to democratize AI and make it accessible to every organization in the world.
As a Snowflake customer, you already are on one of the most richest data foundations in the world.
Our platform helps you consume that data and basically personalize language models, build systems that can think and act on that data. It's an open canvas on which your creativity and imagination can solve many business problems.
Your data on the Snowflake is ready. Your team is ready. The only thing missing is the AI infrastructure. And now it's not.
This isn't another AI tool. This is how AI works in your enterprise.
All right, and please welcome Arrived to the stage.
Good morning, Snowflake. How's everyone doing? Thank you so much, judges, for this great opportunity. We are super excited. I know my wife is watching, so I'll tell you a story. Every time I start my startup journey, I tell my wife, trust me, honey, it's going to be the last one. It actually worked 6 times. But this time, when I told her, she looked at me and smiled. So I looked back at her and asked, what's up? What's going on? So she said, you know what? I'm thinking about starting my own company. So I was very excited. I thought maybe my entrepreneurship eventually rubbed on her in a nice way. So I asked her, what is your startup about? Thinking it's going to be agentic. But she said, no, it's going to be Husband 2.0. So having said that, I think it's going to be my last one. I'm going to put my full effort in it. So my name is Anurag Gotu. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Arrived, and along with me is Ajay Singh, co-founder and CTO. Arrived, as you know, AI is out there, and it's making everybody extremely productive. But it's not just about productivity. AI is actually transforming people to become creators, builders, and operators. Technologies like Suno, Sora, Midjourney, Firefly, it's translating intelligence into creation. And we believe that every organization will go through that transformation. But today, businesses are struggling. We know every business decision will run autonomous. The question is when. But today, organizations are trying to scout for AI talent and struggling. They're trying to leverage fragmented tools and technologies and trying to solve business problems. And they are failing. Our vision is extremely simple. We want to make sure every business user is an AI expert. Just like how spreadsheets commoditized and democratized analytics, or cloud democratized infrastructure, Arrived is democratizing AI. Our goal is every business user should be able to build, deploy, and operate agents. Snowflake offers the richest technology, the most advanced AI data cloud. It offers technology and capabilities to us from core foundation to developer platform to intelligence using Cortex. We sit on top of those technology tech stack. We offer reasoning and an execution layer. Together, Snowflake and Arrived transform businesses from data to intelligence to execution. We are a very young company, but we are deployed globally in some of the largest organizations in the world, ranging from insurance to restaurants to fintech companies to multiple banks and large telecom providers. But that's not all. We are building that operating system on which production-grade, high-fidelity apps would run, and customers will be able to create them as well. There are organizations, really large organizations, that are managing their firewalls using our agents. The agents are looking at shadow rules, looking for compliance gaps, and even offering the citizens to self-serve the firewall rule management. There are organizations that are looking for entitlements and assessing the risk of each and every entitlement in their organization, and then making a decision whether that entitlement should be maintained or revoked. We just went into production with one of the fintech companies, and now just we are scaling it for a very large healthcare organization which has to manage 6 million entitlements. To organizations, we powered the first sovereign cloud in a country which now is offering government and enterprise customers the ability to fine-tune models, build deep reasoning systems, and run agentic orchestrations with ease, without the talent gap that they're struggling with. To organizations where they want to discover shadow AI, and they want to apply guardrails, not only to every citizen, but also to every developer who's actually using Claude Code. To restaurants where the margins are super thin, and they don't have an option other than to run their IT and security operations autonomous. We are building that operating system that is powering all these apps.
Snowflake has created AI data cloud. We are on a journey. We are building something. We are building enterprise autonomous execution system. We believe enterprise software today is just not about presenting the information. It should be able to decide, reason, and act. And that's what the Arrive platform is. Before I move on, Anurag, you mentioned Husband 2.0. So that reminds me, we are on a journey to build a 2.0. We did build 1.0 7 years back, the NLP product we built when we met first time in a startup. The same founder, same founding mindset, builder mindset is today together, and they are building something bigger, something larger with a big vision. Thank you. That's what Arrived is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, judges, any questions for Arrived? Sure, John, you want to lead us off?
Happy to kick it off. All right. The applications or the use cases you're going after are very broad across an entire enterprise, which I think is important. But as a young company entering a big enterprise, I'm thinking about at Capital One, we have different buyers in cyber, different buyers in IT, different buyers in business. How do you think about the strategy to land within an enterprise and expand, or how do you think about those different kind of ICPs that you would encounter?
So I'll break this into two parts, because everybody, when we started this journey, everybody wanted us to build a point product solutions, and we had built 7 point product solutions in our past journey. So we said we want to go with a platform strategy. So I used a very simple analogy to explain to my team on how we're going to accomplish it. We said, think about a problem statement, think it's like a toy, and break that toy into small Lego pieces. So break that problem statement into foundational blocks that you can solve using first principle, and create that technology where I can assemble those small Lego pieces into and create a completely new toy. So that's how we are able to manage firewalls, to do entitlements, to do shadow AI, to do security operations. Now, second question, which is a really good question. Every account we go in, as soon as the CIO and the CISO lands onto our vision, they understand what our vision is, they immediately become very creative. They said, you know what, I think I can solve this problem, and I think I can solve this problem. And then it boils down to, prove it to me that your technology works. So the beauty is that we start with multiple teams at the same time, the vulnerability team, the IT team, the SecOps team, and so on and so forth, and we win. The advantage is that now we become very sticky because now there are 3 different teams on our platform, and our vision is to make them AI experts. So our stickiness just increases within that organization. Thank you.
Thank you. So kind of following up on that thread, how would you describe, you're pitching a prospective customer, and they ask you, okay, how are you going to differentiate what you can bring to the table in customized implementations versus other larger scale enterprise solutions that also, let's say, could integrate with someone's data through Snowflake or what have you? Do you feel like that leans more into some of the firewall or entitlement use cases that a CISO or a CIO might be really connected to, or do you find there are other areas that
Yes, so that happens pretty much all the time. The typical response to us is we are an agentic native company. We started our journey 7 years ago building NLP tech stack when Transformers technology didn't exist, so we have some foundation that we are coming up with. There are a lot of technologies where you can overlay summarization technologies using GPTs and other models. We are not that. We are a foundational technology. We give you those Lego block creating capability, which you can assemble together to consume apps or produce apps. So that's how we try and position ourselves. Thank you.
So how does your business model, you have a land and expand strategy, right? How does a business model support that? Is this a consumption-based pricing model, or how does this look like?
We offer 2 business models to a customer. We offer pure consumption-based model, just like you have with Claude and your Snowflake technology, and Gemini and so on and so forth. But I personally tell the customer, do not go with consumption-based model. You want to do a fixed enterprise licensing. Now, I'm taking a risk of reducing my margins because I can go negative, but there's a reason for that. Because I say, if you go with a fixed price, you know what's your cost, but your creativity is not going to get limited by the consumption of tokens. I don't want you to get a heart attack like, oh, I'm burning through tokens left and right, and now your creativity is stopping. So I'm, as a startup, taking that risk and saying, all you can eat, no restrictions, go as creative as you can, add as many teams as you can, solve as many uses as you can at a fixed price. But the size of the organization determines what the price point would be.
Apart from AI, what are the main features of Snowflake that you leverage, and what is your secret sauce in the technology? Where would you say these are IP, right, as a startup?
Yes. So we use a lot of different technologies of Snowflake. Your Cortex stack, we use Cortex Analyst, we use Cortex Search, we use Cortex Agent, we use Cortex Agent. We use your underlying CPUs and GPUs, the core infrastructure. We use Snowpark as a technology as well. So we have a lot of technologies, and we have a roadmap of incorporating your fine-tuning capabilities as well into our system. So those are the core fundamentals. Now, your question is, where is the edge? As you know, the world is moving towards context graphs. That's something that we are doubling down on. We are showing the early versions to our customers, and they are getting super excited, and they want to buy it, but we're still in beta, so we're not trying to sell it. And it's very expensive. I mean, I tell them, it's a very expensive SKU, but it will show you results that you cannot even believe. We have technologies equivalent of where we built a deep reasoning system. It's a point and click. You don't have to go with complex technologies like LangGraph to do it. You come into our system, you say, I want these agents which have these skills, I need these actions, and all of a sudden, you have a deep reasoning system. Even our fine-tuning can actually learn from an agent and completely train a model, which is a very unique concept that we offer.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Raj. San Francisco, one more time. Okay, 1 down and 2 to go. So let's keep on moving. Earth Data Intelligence has relied on classical computer vision pixels in map tiles for 2 decades, leaving imagery trapped in vertically siloed legacy systems that are difficult for AI to parse. Legend is shifting the platform to geo-embeddings by offering an open source model agnostic foundation model called Clay that makes various types of imagery searchable via natural language model. With a dual headquarters in Berkeley and Philly, please welcome Legend.
Let me introduce you all to Legend. This is our overture. We believe you can't fix what you can't measure. I've never seen such a concentration of talent density. I can only imagine it's our shared propensity for working with people who blend kindness with intensity. This is the most incredible time to be a builder. All the inventions of the past have come together to make now a thriller of a moment full of potential. Watch us turn that energy into something kinetic and influential, because being able to query the Earth over space and time is essential to fixing a climate crisis that impacts all living beings. And that brings up all sorts of feelings, the biggest of which is gratitude for this team who bring their brilliance, time, and fortitude. See, back in the White House, I met my co-founders, Bruno and Dan. It's so awesome to work with people whose default is yes, we can. And I want you all to know that I wrote this poem the same way Jeff reviews our code. No LLM helped me compose this ode. We have brilliant minds like David, Fan, and Nate who make our embedding factories hum at exponential rates. And it's incredible you can just now ask questions of the Earth, because Sophie, Sam, and Z can train a model at a clip like nobody's worth. A love bomb to Gnome and his high bar for excellence, and to Butler's ability to organize everybody with benevolence. Sue spent a lifetime leading the government in geoanalysis, while Bruno, Matt, and Constantine's AI research has sparked an industry catalyst. And when Kevin's not fly fishing, he's writing code that is miraculous. And we're all inspired by Dan in his NASA hat. He's oraculous. We make AI that understands the Earth to embed the world with resilience. But what's really going to blow your mind is when we make the Earth understandable to artificial intelligence. And that's what gives us the opportunity to transcend beyond just investor dividends and take our place as legends.
I absolutely love that video. Please welcome Legend to the stage.
Hi, everyone. So you can tell how much I like words from that video, right? So, well, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. But what if that picture could tell you those 1,000 words? What if AI could look at a picture of the Earth the way a human does and explain what changed and then predict what might happen next, like it's doing here for Moscone? That's the question that brought Legend to life. I'm Nat Manning, Legend CEO.
And I'm Jeff Albrecht, head of engineering.
Now, you've heard of large language models. They don't do a great job of analyzing the Earth. Why? Because they're trained on language. It's right there in the words. At Legend, we build large Earth models, trained on the 800 petabytes of pictures we've taken of this planet.
Nat, I know you always wanted to give a TED Talk, but this just isn't the right setting. This is Snowflake. These are engineers. Let me talk in their language. We didn't just build the model, right? We built the entire stack. Models, infrastructure, the agents, all powered by a deep integration into Snowflake across services like Snowpipes, Dynamic Tables, and Cortex Search, to name a few. And we built the application on top, like Discover here, that you see on the screen. That full stack approach is our moat. We aren't just a wrapper, we built the whole thing. Here, for instance, you see an analysis of what's changed in SOMA over the past few years. We make Earth understandable using AI in order to make Earth understandable to AI.
Jeff, I know the tech's cool, but here's the problem we're solving. Earth observation data is famously expensive, notoriously difficult to use, and almost entirely absent from the AI revolution we're currently living through. Don't believe me? Go ask your favorite LLM, where has there been deforestation in the Amazon this year? Or where should I build a data center in Texas? It'll give you an answer, citing a report written by a human, because it was trained on language, not on the Earth.
But the primary source data for all these questions already exists. It's sitting in billions of satellite images of Earth that are being captured every single day. We believe that satellite imagery has immense latent value, and that Legend unlocks that. We're building the geospatial copilot, dramatically improving the ability to inform decision-making processes with geospatial data.
Jeff, they get it. They get how amazing the product is. But how about that TAM, right? Of the roughly $60 billion a year spent translating geospatial data into answers, 2/3 of that goes to human services. Not to data, not to software. That 40 billion is our target market. And today it's growing at a 14% CAGR. And that doesn't even factor in what's going to happen with the robotics, world models, and agents. So let's walk you through 3 real use cases, because that's where our vision, business, and engineering all come together, right?
Yeah, that's right.
First, insurance and climate risk. So we're working with a major risk modeling company. They want to look at every wildfire in the United States, identify which properties burned and which didn't, and then answer why. Was it the roof material, a fire break? Well, Legend just lets them just ask those questions and get the answers, ultimately enabling them to better protect people from climate disasters.
Second is intelligence. We're beginning to work with parts of the US government responsible for processing geospatial data. These analysts are drowning in data. There's simply more imagery than they have time to process. Legend lets them query that long tail. An analyst can ask questions like, where are the military boats in the Yellow and South China Seas? And Legend detects that change and then describes what it's seeing and writes up a quick report with monitoring alerts and notifications to follow.
The third, imagine your travel AI agent filtering out hotels with active construction next door. Something that happened to me recently during my wife and my first trip away without our kids. It was a real bummer. Or imagine your AI real estate agent knowing you only want homes with walkable trails nearby and sidewalks out front. And when that analyst wants to track deforestation in the Amazon, they're working from the primary source data within their favorite AI tool, not like a secondhand report. And as such, we believe that in the not too distant future, our largest user bases won't be just humans. It'll be agents, robots, and other AI models. Because every AI that wants to understand the physical world is going to need what we're building.
The AI revolution has already transformed how we understand text, video, and audio, and we think that Earth data is next.
Legend's mission is to make the planet queryable across space and time, the same way LLMs did for text. And what we've learned is that people want answers, not pictures, not data, and not vector embeddings, answers. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, then each of those answers will be worth thousands of dollars. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, judges, a lot to unpack. What's top of mind?
I can start. I mean, absolutely love the mission. I mean, you're solving a huge problem, great use cases. Where are you seeing some early traction? I don't know if you have any customers yet, but what is the feedback? Where are you seeing those repeatable, go-to-market motions that you can scale?
So like those use cases there, we separate them into commercial and then government. Can't talk about specifically some, we're under NDAs, but there are customers in the insurance markets, in asset monitoring. So one's a railway that runs all around the United States and wants to be able to constantly monitor those assets. Some in early financial services, intelligence that goes into the financial service sectors. And then in government, I think that's pretty straightforward. It's the intelligence has generally been the largest market for Earth observation data. And that's predominantly with the US government.
Could you spend a little time talking about how images are sourced, the update frequency, like depending on the contract, how specific that might be to the person? Because I think that's something that is going to impact the long-term viability of what you're building.
It's a really good question. So one of my, that saying you can only have, you can have something fast, cheap, or good. You can only pick two. In imagery, you can have it recent, high resolution, or free. You can only pick two. So this is one of our moats, is that you're able to, Legend can work on any type of imagery. And that's really important, because everybody else out there only ever sells analytics on just their imagery. And it doesn't mean that that picture was taken. So we're able to kind of intelligently tell, oh, do you want to use this source, Planet? Do you want to use this? Or can you use a free source like Sentinel-2? So there's free imagery that is taken of the whole world every 7 days, but it's not very high resolution. And then you have high resolution that's usually done about once a year. And then if you want something else, you have to pay. And then we work with all those partners and answer the analytics. If you want to
we do it. And one of the ways we solve this is we do a strategy that's called tip and queue. It's widely deployed in the geospatial industry. And what that means is you can start with freely available imagery to sort of get an overview of what you're looking at. Embeddings from large Earth models are particularly good at this. And then once you identify for free, essentially, what areas you're interested in looking. You can then go and task higher resolution commercial satellite imagery to sort of double click on that location. Great example here is something like infrastructure monitoring around ports, ships coming and going. Maybe from the free resolution data, you see that there was a particular amount of activity in the Strait of Hormuz, let's say a certain week, and you want to then go and task specific imagery to go and collect that.
You should tell them how Clay works on the electromagnetic field.
Yeah, so the way this works is one of the models that we work with is called Clay, and it is extremely unique out of large Earth models because it actually understands the electromagnetic spectrum. All of these satellites that are sort of rotating around the Earth, all they're doing is bouncing wavelengths either off the sun and collecting them, or they're active sensors that are sending their own wavelengths and bouncing back. What the sensor sees in space is a function of the physics and the biology of the material on the ground that wavelength is interacting with. Many of these large Earth models are trained specifically on planet imagery or a specific sensor, but the model that we build and maintain actually understands physics in the electromagnetic spectrum in a way that other models don't, which lets it translate to other imagery providers. And that's a huge part of our moat.
We're the only model that does that. The only model that can work on every imagery today.
And on that note, though, are there, I would imagine kind of just different weather patterns, atmospheric conditions could distort or hallucinate the model?
We work with radar sensors that can penetrate through the clouds, for example. So if we're deploying our solution into and operationally into something like post-disaster response, where maybe like this railroad use case, they want to know if a tree fell over their rail line as soon as a hurricane hits. Our model is able to understand radar data that penetrates through the clouds. And so this ability to work across different sensors and modalities gives us more ability to be flexible at the operational level when we actually deploy our solution to the real world, which if you look at the broad scope of geospatial, that's typically where things fall apart. You can make some incredible PowerPoint decks that show how you can use satellite imagery to inform decision-making questions. They typically fall apart when you deploy them operationally at scale. And we're able to help solve that problem because of our multi-modality approach.
Yeah, one of our secret sauces is our own agents in-house that's able to route to the right imagery source for the question that's being asked.
All built on Cortex.
Built on Cortex.
That's good. That's good. Very good.
Yeah, and specifically, we were one of, I believe, the first users of the bring your own embedding aspect of Cortex Search, and so we've worked very closely with the Cortex team and the product managers, and that's been a great experience for us. Yeah, that's been a game changer as we scale.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. Give it up one more time. All right, Moscone, we are down to our final competitor. How we doing out there? No, don't stop now. Come on. All right. Cybersecurity teams and CISOs are overwhelmed by a continuously expanding attack surface, too many tools, and a severe shortage of skilled staff. Twine Security addresses this resource shortage by building AI digital employees, starting with their first product, Alex. Alex handles identity and access management tasks end-to-end, the leading attack surface in cybersecurity. For Futural, digital employees will cover SOC, vulnerability management, AppSec, and network security. Please welcome Twine Security all the way from Israel. We have Twine.
Action.
As co-founder of Clarity, I spent the last 8 years giving CISOs work, providing visibility and prioritizing where they need to focus. Today, I want to flip the equation. No more tools that show, only action. My new venture Twine is building an AI employee who execute complex cyber tasks from A to Z.
We're really bringing the future, building a digital employee that is able to take on tasks. People are always saying AI will do the work. We're building the AI to do the work, so it's super cool.
Working on cutting-edge technology, multi-agent system is something that is quite still unique. It's pretty new.
Our work processes are very much working together with each other. I never really feel like I'm working in silos. I feel like I'm really able to collaborate with everyone in the team, which is very, very important to me.
And also the culture, the people, we became friends.
Building something that is being developed in the world at the moment. There's no best practices. We are building the practices ourselves.
We have the poof room over there. I love that you're directing me right now.
and the people that we have here are just amazing, and you can learn from them so much.
Our standards for hiring dogs are not as high as they are for hiring people, though.
All right, please welcome to the stage Twine Security.
Hello, hello. Yeah, I'll just start by saying that our standards for hiring dogs are not as high for people, because it doesn't matter. When you're petting a dog and when you're playing with them, the levels of dopamine increase in your brain, and you basically become way more relaxed and focused. So that's really important for us. Snowflake, thank you very much for having us. My name is Yuval Carmel. I'm Twine Security VP R&D, and I'm here to present Twine to you guys. So at Twine, we're building AI digital employees for cybersecurity teams. What it means is that basically we are helping them and empowering them, making them 10x more efficient. So as you all saw, this is our team sitting on the floor next to the building we work at in the middle of the day. But yeah, basically it's just a bunch of amazing people, all with amazing, like, huge passion for building. And I think the most important part is that our human-to-dog ratio is like 7-to-1, which is really important, and we tend to keep it that way. Cool, but yeah, let's focus on the problem that we're solving. If you're not familiar with cybersecurity teams, so they are basically swamped with information all the time. They have so many tools that are detecting issues and gaps in their security of their organization. And they are pretty old school. Most of them are still working with Active Directory to manage their users. Some of them even have like multiple Active Directories to manage the users. It's just so messy sometimes. So automation basically doesn't work there. It's really hard to automate something that is just all over the place. Each and every one of these organizations, they have their own policies and their own custom processes to solve their security gaps and to make sure that their organization is as secure as they expect. So what we do at Twine, we use agentic AI, and we bring agentic AI to these teams, to these old school teams, to build AI employees that complete the work end to end. So at Twine, we started with Alex, who is our identity management expert. But we are building a whole family of them. And the main, I think the most important part here is that Snowflake is the backbone of these agents. We are using Snowflake as the data lake, the governed data lake for these agents. All the organizational information is there, all the knowledge is there, and every decision Alex is making and every action Alex is taking is backed by Snowflake information and by data in Snowflake. So the idea here is that Alex can act with evidence all the time, and he understands the full picture of the organization. There are so many use cases that we are solving for these enterprises, starting with user access reviews, with overprivileged, with policy drifts. But I don't have time to talk about all of them, so I'll talk about a really interesting use case, which is ticket resolution. So cybersecurity teams, they serve the whole organization, all right? Like people from all around the organization are sending security-related requests to this team, and they're basically being swamped with tickets all the time, like this one right here. So let's look at this example, for instance. I'm getting a ticket with the following request. Hey, can someone please give Maya Levi from Finance access to Salesforce, same as everybody else? As a human being getting this ticket, I'm quite frustrated because I don't know who Maya Levi is. I have like 100K employees in this organization. Maybe there are several Maya Levi's even. And I don't know which kind of access she needs to Salesforce. What are the norms for the finance team? It basically takes like something like 2 days to resolve something like that, because I need to get some clarifying questions, I need to get some more answers, and I need to maybe research some past tickets and understand how we used to do that in the past. Maybe I need to, I don't know, search like policy documents of the organization. It can take a while. So what we do at Twine is that once these tickets are being opened, we are funneling them directly into Snowflake, Snowflake streams, in where Alex, as a Cortex agent, not Codex, Cortex agent, is pulling these tickets using identity similarity search to figure out who Maya Levi is is looking at the rest of the team, the finance team, to understand what's their access to Salesforce, running semantic search with Cortex Search to understand how we used to solve these tickets in the past and builds a resolution plan. Later on, Alex is taking this resolution plan in our system because it's connected to all of the apps of the organization and basically runs this resolution plan end to end. So the result, the outcome, is the tickets are being resolved 10x faster, even quicker than that. It's like 30 minutes if you compare it to 2 days. So the people just have way more time to pet their dogs and play with them. Thank you very much.
Okay, judges, over to you. Cheers.
Yeah. Oh, well, I was thinking about kind of the trust aspect. You know, giving away the keys to the Ferrari is a concerning thing, especially for large enterprises like Capital One. How do you build that trust and enable our compliance teams to have the very strict auditing information that they need to understand what changes were made and how these agents are working?
So it's a great question. It's one of the biggest challenges, trust. And we're building it with a long relationship with the customers. We start by creating this control membrane that wraps Alex all around. It's like a deterministic layer that makes sure that there's human in the loop that approves every action that he does until the trust is built over time, and they can basically tell us, okay, I think that specific actions like, I don't know, adding users to groups, giving some entitlements to users, I trust you to do this stuff. So the granularity is really fine. We're making sure that we are getting approvals for fully autonomous actions. And yeah, it's like it takes a little bit of time, but over time it works. And of course, Snowflake also helps. The idea that all the data is secure in Snowflake and that we have guardrails in Snowflake that I'll be happy to talk about them as well. It helps us as well to know that the customer will trust us way more.
What do you see applications beyond cyber? Like, are you envisioning other areas that you think this could tackle?
So actually, yeah, but we are focused in cybersecurity because these are the teams that we are familiar with and we want to solve their issues. Like we have been doing it for a long time and we know exactly what are their needs. But yeah, the system that we are building is actually something that generates, takes data and high-level metrics and gaps and basically helps you to run the mitigation for these gaps. So maybe you can try to implicate it on other different aspects, but yeah, we are focused with cybersecurity because this is the area that we know really, really well.
So where are you on your journey now? Do you have customers, and how does your go-to-market strategy looking like? Are you expanding here into North America right now?
So we have several customers. There's like a dozen customers already. Really big ones in healthcare and manufacturing. And we are working with a few banks now already as well. So the idea is to basically expand to as many verticals as possible. Our go-to-market strategy is currently mainly in the US, but also we have some EMEA customers, like in Israel, so it's helpful as well. And the idea is to grow as much as possible, more and more enterprise, solve their issues.
Thanks.
What are the biggest technical challenges that you have? I mean, one that you have and where you see that maybe Snowflake should do better in some areas, or did you hit some limitation with the technology, I guess?
Like technology-related challenges, or?
Yeah. I mean, the platform, is it, do you have everything that you need, or do you need more? And what are the challenges? I mean, I thought that the first question was very good, right? Because, if you start to take, action, especially in cybersecurity, and it has to be scary. But I assume that having user in the loop is not that bad either, because it's less, the investigation can still be done by the agents. So maybe that's not a big issue, but is there like something that you are working on, or some?
Yes, I can give you one example that is really interesting for enterprise. Is like banking are usually really sensitive with their information. So they want everything to be under their control. So they don't really like the fact that all the data is in my Snowflake. They want to control this Snowflake. So what we do there is that we give them the ability to control the encryption keys of the Snowflake account, like with KMS in AWS. And then they have the sense of security and control that they need. They can basically say, all right, I don't trust you anymore. I revoke all the keys and you don't have any data anymore. So we're using like the triage of Snowflake for that. And we also deploy our system like in their own environment when it's needed. So
Is it a native app? Actually, that's
so it's not a native app yet, but we are talking about doing that as well, yeah.
Okay, you should do that.
All right, give it up, San Francisco. Thank you. All right, everyone. Pitches are done, which means one thing. We're about to go into deliberation time. But before we do, why don't we do initial temperature check and go down the line? Benoit, what's top of mind?
I mean, it's difficult as always. I really like the geographic because the theme is understanding Earth is such an ambitious goal, and I like ambition. So, but security is also very concrete and a very important problem to solve. So there's a lot.
It's all going to happen on this stage. The real decisions come in here. This isn't predetermined. Denise, over to you.
No, as Benoit said, it's going to be a hard decision for us here on the panel. No panic. And again, three very different companies with a lot of passion, also a lot of experience in their field. This is not first-time startup founders. You do a lot of mistakes the first round. They have learned a lot in the past. All three are really focused on this kind of execution problem. I think that's kind of the new thing for this year, and that's what we're hearing from customers as well. So yeah, it's going to be a tough conversation here for us.
Tough. I feel like we were in the same place last year too.
I don't envy.
I know. I think it'll come down to scale too, like how the different ideas can scale in different areas or even within the vertical that they've chosen. But I think all fantastic companies, and you should all be proud.
Well, as the new guy here on the stage, I'm a little disappointed. I only had half hour to dig into these companies. We could spend all day talking to them because they're so interesting. There's so much opportunity. I think go-to-market is, it's clearly very innovative in their own right, and go-to-market is a very tough thing to crack, to figure out how do you find that product market fit, which will enable scalability and expansion. And those are some of the things top of mind there. Yeah.
Well, the time has come for the deliberations. With that, back of house tech, cut their mics. This is a confidential conversation. I'm going to go jump into the crowd, get the crowd going. You guys ready to go into deliberation mode? All right. You guys can stay on stage if you guys just want to huddle up right here. And Denise, I might be asking you questions throughout, but you can tell me when you guys are ready. All right, San Francisco, how we doing? A lot is on the line. But we are here at Dev Day, which means you are all involved in this. So I thought it might be interesting to talk to an individual who is very much overseeing the show. Harsha, head of ventures. We just saw 3 great pitches, but what's top of mind for you for this year's competition?
Turn this way?
Yeah.
Top of mind would be just kind of looking at the caliber of companies that have come out in this challenge. I think every year we've been up here, and I've probably had an inkling of who might rise to the top. I literally have no clue what the judges are going to come up with. All 3, from the satellite, understanding the Earth, to the agentic platform and workflow across the enterprise, cybersecurity. I don't know if I want to say it's a resurgence, but in the agentic world, these are truly enterprise problems. The breadth and scale is there. The traction is there with these companies already. I think this is going to be a very tough competition. The other thing that's really interesting and a key takeaway for me is the switch from even last year, right? Where there were still a lot of the companies that were building really interesting analytic solutions, right? To the flip and the transformation of these are AI powered solutions on top of Snowflake. And I've been in Snowflake 9 years. To see that transformation at Snowflake, to live it through the startup challenge, not just the 3 finalists, but the top 10 that I get involved with, it's been really amazing to see how they're leveraging truly AI native technologies on top of Snowflake.
You know, I'm so glad you mentioned kind of the duration of this competition. Obviously, we're here watching the finale, but your team has been working with all the contestants over the past better part of 10 months. How has that process been throughout to pick the finalists here today?
It's been, well, for me, it's been a little bit easier process this year. We've kind of consolidated the startup challenge, the startup program, and Snowflake Ventures under one umbrella. So I haven't been as involved, to be honest. I've gotten more involved in the top 10. And so I would say this year, like immediately I was like, holy cow, these 10 are amazing, right? And the level of AI integration and usage on Snowflake was super powerful. But just going through like our own scale of mentorship and coaching and engaging with these companies, like that whole process, working with the team, doing the reviews, it's been unbelievable.
You know, this feeds perfectly into my next question. You get the opportunity to spend each day with founders, visionaries. You know, what advice would you give to the audience of who, you know, they want to be on next stage over the next couple of years? You know, what key takeaways or advice you'd like to deliver?
I'm going to give the same advice I always give. Customers, customers, customers. Like relentless focus on customers should be on the top of mind of every founder. I think there's a trap right now in the AI evolution or the new world of AI, which is, oh, we can solve all sorts of amazing things with AI. But don't just solve it because you can. Don't just because it's cool. Like there's a lot of, I've talked to a lot of founders who are like, oh, I can do what 20 engineers could do. Harsha, what should we build? Like, I have no clue. Like we need founders who have that domain expertise. If you don't have it, find and partner with someone who does, right? Talk to customers every day. Keep that relentless focus on customers and make sure you are solving a problem that has staying power, right? The biggest question VCs are asking right now is, will this scale? Will this be disrupted by coding agents, right? Like you have to have that data moat, that domain moat. And if you're thinking about that, you're engaged with customers, that should be pretty straightforward.
Well, Harsha, I don't envy our judges right now making this decision. What's next for Snowflake Ventures and the startup program collectively?
So I kind of alluded to a little bit earlier, the way we're bringing these teams together. You know, in the past, we were somewhat independent, but all working together. I think now that we're under one umbrella, I think I have a strong goal, as we do across the team, which is how can we bring more value to these startups?
Well said.
So the startups coming into the challenge, the startups in our programs, the ventures investment, like these companies are all pipeline for us, right? How can we give them even more value, more coaching, more mentorship, really turning our broader team into a go-to-market engine too for these early stage companies. I think John mentioned the go-to-market is key. We have a huge customer channel, right? How do we help these younger companies unlock that a little bit earlier? So these are kind of things that are top of mind for us. Yeah, it'll be things like credits and mentorship and resources, but pulling that all together, potential even investments into, bigger investments in some of these companies. How do we start to scale that is what I think will be the next step.
You know, and that's why I love that we have the finale part of Dev Day. We're very much surrounded by the next chapter of visionaries and entrepreneurs. Any final remarks here today while we wait for their big deliberation?
No, I mean, I think you and I are trying to kill a little bit of time here because this is not that easy, right?
I'm looking up for eye contact.
I see what you're doing. We're like, they're not giving us a signal. No, I mean, I think I've said kind of it. I do think that the key takeaway here, and I'm super excited to see the caliber of companies here. I think it's a testament to, and I'm going to do the plug, like what we've done on the Snowflake platform. We, meaning Benoit and the team.
The collective we.
I used to be a product manager at Snowflake, so I had some little hand in it years ago. But I think that transformation from data warehouse to data platform to data and AI platform and the true AI control plane that Sridhar is talking about, that's what's most exciting to me here. And I think companies should be pushing the boundaries with Snowflake, and that's what will get our attention.
Well, Harsha, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much. It's an exciting next chapter for the venture program, for the startup community. In Dev Day, I did this poll at the beginning of Dev Day, but show of hands, who is this their first summit attending here today? Hands up. Ah, that's what it's all about. Looks like we have an answer here. You guys ready? All right. Well, we're making our way to stage. Deliberation is over. We're making eye contact. This is big. All right. So, first off, just big shout out to all of you for being here. One more time, Moscone. Now, before we dive into the big reveal, I thought it might be great to re-summarize exactly what our judges are looking for when making this big decision. Remember, overall business potential and market opportunity, innovation and the uniqueness of what they built, how they leverage the Snowflake AI Data Cloud platform, and the team as a whole. Benoit, we're going to do a little bit of a reveal here. Okay. I'm going to drop down here. Is there a specific one?
I have to say it.
No. You're
You
going
have
to pick, and
shuffle.
I'm going
You
to
have to
reveal it.
shuffle.
All right. It has been decided. San Francisco, make some noise for Legend. Gentlemen, please make your way to the stage. Benoit, we have Snowflake the Bear. We have the big award. Gentlemen, please come to stage.
Nice job. Congrats. Nice job. Awesome.
Congrats, man. Great job.
Nice job.
Congratulations.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats.
This is great. Yes.
Great job. Congratulations. Yeah.
Great.
Benoit, if you would like to present the award, Benoit and Denise, to our
Yes.
winners here at Legend, congratulations. Jump in here. We got Snowflake the Bear. San Francisco, come on.
Yes.
Get in the middle, gentlemen.
Yes, you are.
There we go. Perfect.
All right. Couple big pictures. Now, Denise and Benoit, but before we go, I want to just pick your brains real quick. Why did you decide to go with Legend? Benoit, why don't we start with you?
I mean, I think there were many aspects. You know, the ones that I like the most is innovation and the ambition, right? It's such a broad theme, you know, understanding Earth as a whole. So I love the slides too. I mean, I love the ambition and the innovation, and yes.
And Denise, from your seat.
Yeah, again, I mean, congratulations to all the finalists here. And it really came back to the mission of the company, the really important, problems that they can solve for Earth and humanity. So that's the reason.
I love that for all of us. Congratulations. And thank you all so much for joining us for the 2026 Snowflake Startup Challenge Grand Finale. We'll see you here next year. Go start building. The 2027 Challenge will officially kick off in the fall at the New York Stock Exchange, but there's more. Be sure to check out the Silicon Valley AI Hub for the latest and enjoy the rest of Developer Day. For now, I'm Ryan Green, and remember to come back here as we keep diving into all things Dev Day. And remember, at 1 p.m., it is your Grow Your Career in the Age of AI. It's your chance to get involved in Ask Them Anything. Thank you so much. We'll see you back here at 1. Thanks again, everybody.